Anyway, chat. So we have something on deck for today. It's a new thing I'm wanting to try. Um, it's a little bit ill-timed because it's a segment on another creator's channel named Atrioc, called Marketing Monday. And what he does, he basically goes through the wins and fails of bigger companies. So like, let's say Google does something stupid, he'll report on it. And it's not supposed to be like a super in-depth, essay that you'd like see in school. It's supposed to be super fun and just, kick back. And I love that. I think it's a really cool and interesting idea. And I think that there's a lot of information out there that is just totally kind of missed amongst gamers that could possibly help them had they had a little bit more insight. And I kind of want to do something similar. I want to do something that I've coined minting or inting. Now, minting is the process of making money, making coins, and inting is what I do in every League of Legends game I play. Basically, is a company doing well or is a company doing horribly? And I want to kind of do something like that. This is my first time, so I want you all to give me a little bit of give me a break. All right, give me a break. Let me cook. Let me land. Let me cook. All right. Let's get into it. So I want you guys to actually see what I made here. This is something that took me like an hour to make, and I want you to understand, I'm not the best video editor in the world. However, I am getting better. And if any of you saw my Electabuzz video, which if you haven't, you should check it out. It's really good. It's on my YouTube channel. I am a very big novice at video editing, but I made this from not stolen assets off the internet, I promise. But check this shit out. I present to you guys minting or inting. Did you like that? That was cool, huh? That was pretty cool. All right. Have to start somewhere. See, thank you. Thank you. Wow, very boggart. That's pretty clean. No lie. You guys like that? Wow, it's an amazing short. Woo! Oh, you guys like that? All right. We're gonna do more of that then. All right, we'll see. All right, now let me cook. This. I think this will only take me about 20 minutes to get through it. I'm a pretty fast presenter. But here's a couple of points from the last, 2-ish weeks of relevant information in the gaming world that I think might be interesting to you all. So, let's take a look with our first topic, League of Legends. If you guys are League of Legends fans at all, you will probably have heard that these dumb fucks let their source code get stolen for the game. Now, what does that mean for you as a League of Legends player? Put simply, not really a whole lot in your immediate life. You should not see anything immediately happening. However, the people who stole the source code have issued a ransom out to Riot saying, hey, if you don't pay us $10 million in exchange for your source code back, we are going to start distributing it to others who will pay. So, that's where the problem comes in, right? Riot's source code is the basis of the entire game. If someone is able to just buy that, they no longer have to go through the struggle of reverse engineering the code and reverse engineering the game to make cheats. They have Riot's anti-cheat. They have Riot's entire. Think if someone just stole the chassis of your car, and they just kept that shit, right? And then remade an entire car off of that. Looks identical to yours. Same VIN, same everything. But now they're driving around uninsured. No, they don't necessarily need to have a license, and they're just making their way around. Any car accident, any bad thing they could possibly do in that new copied car is on likely you, because they're not gonna get caught. You're gonna get caught because your name is on that VIN, your name is on all that stuff. So that's kind of the situation here. Now, is that a problem for you as the gamer as far as your privacy? Is your password gonna get leaked? Is your two-factor authentication now useless? Probably. It's up to the hacker. It's up to what they want to do with that source code. They are at the helm of this ship, and it's entirely their discretion of what happens to the game. Is Riot going to do anything about it? As of I think last week, 121, Riot said, yeah, no, we're not paying that shit. We don't negotiate with terrorists. So, The hacker said if they don't manage to pay our ransom, it's going out. So at this point, it's out. It's out. And to my understanding, I do not think that any payment has been done. And yes, I know these websites are full of ads. I am not paying to get rid of these ads. I have ad blocker. That shit don't work. But yeah, what you guys can sleep comfortably with right now is that there have been no documented attacks on the individual player base's privacy. You should be okay for now. But as this is going on and Riot refuses to pay it up, it's going to make its way to more and more people. So if someone wants to go in there and make a bunch of Soraka skins or reverse the Yuumi buffs, or sorry, reverse the Yuumi nerfs that just went through, they technically could. If they have the know-how, if they can navigate the code, they could do that. And I don't know if a lot of you are League players or if any of you care, but I'm going to tell you right now, if someone goes back in and rebuffs Yuumi, I'm not fucking ranking this season. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not. Thank you for the follow. The real Michael Jackson. All right. Now we're talking. How about pro players? So with pro players, it's pretty much the same thing. It's any account that's live on any server. It's the source code. It's not server dependent. It's not like, it's not one server's over here, one's over here, one's over here. It's all under one blanket law, and that's what that source code does. So even if you're on the China server, the Asia servers, I don't know, I think it's probably hosted in China. If you're in the Pacific servers, if you're in America, you're just as at risk as any other player. So I don't think there's any worry you need to have yet, but keep in mind, if Riot doesn't pay, that's an L. So I'm going to call this one Inting. So this would definitely be considered an int right here, I would say. League of Legends for life. Yeah, man. Let's not ever play League of Legends again. Shot. Oh, y'all gambling, and the gambling is not going well. I don't even play, and I'm worried for you guys. Yeah. The what server? Nothing. You don't have to be too worried. You don't have to be too worried as an individual player. Just know that if you start seeing some buggy shit, Riot is also putting out an excess of changes in the game. We have a bunch of updates coming to jungle. We have a bunch of updates coming to items. Tenacity, I think, is getting a rework and stuff. So you may see some weird visual bugs, but it's very likely not some random attacker that's taking out your game specifically. It probably is just a skill issue. Don't take it personally. It's probably a skill issue. I'm in that same boat. I fucking suck. But I think we're going to be okay for now. We are now in a very interesting spot in the esports universe, and that takes me to my next point. Esports has a fucking money problem. So, esports is not as simple as player wins, player gets money, right? Where did the money come from? How long has the player been on the team? How is he getting paid, or she? Are they a part of an org, or is it just little one-off tournaments? How is that happening? So to give you guys a little bit of insight behind the esports scene, right? We kind of have to look back a little bit simply, right? We have to go back to this. We have to go back to the roots. So esports are basically funded in two ways. You have your publishers, and then you have sponsors. Okay, publishers are going to be people like Riot or League of Legends. They'll put out X amount of money to start up a tournament, and they'll put out like a skin line for a certain team to just get funding and money for a team to go through and play through that championship or that tournament series. Now, that can go great for them because people may get great sales because they have popular players on a certain team, or it could go poorly. But that's why esports orgs have also sponsors. So you'll see 100 Thieves will be sponsored by Lexus, right? I think Liquid is sponsored by Honda or something like that. Did you guys see their really cool Team Liquid Honda Civic? Here, let me see if I can get that. Look at the Team Liquid Honda Civic. Imagine waking up one morning and being like, bro, I need a new car. You go to the Honda dealership because you're trying to get a nice eco car, and the salesman says, bro, I know exactly what you need. Don't worry about it, I got you. Only the real boys drive this car. And he shows you this thing. Not even a Type R, he just shows you... He shows you the Team Liquid Honda Civic, bro. That might be just what Liquid needs to get back in action. But anyway, sponsors. Sponsors are the big thing that keep esports teams alive. Free wrap. Yeah, bro, don't worry. Well, the tint's gonna cost you $4,000, but the wrap, that's on us, bro. Dude, dealerships are so fucking crooked. But anyway, sponsors are primarily how esports orgs stay alive. You've probably heard people like Moist Critical, like now Ludwig, who joined Moist Esports. They'll say, hey, we operate at a major loss because it's expensive. You have to realize you're paying players a steady salary in most cases. You're paying for travel, which is not cheap because they usually don't put their people in like fucking back of the plane, economy. Sometimes they do. It depends on the org, of course, but they're trying to take care of their employees, which is good. That's how it kind of should be. I'm playing this game for fucking 10 to 12 hours a day, probably more. I am running a risk of my health with my carpal tunnel and shit, and all I have is kind of you to provide a healthy and safe way to do what I do for this team. So it's kind of expensive to maintain a person's health. That's why we have HR departments in regular businesses. Esports, it's not quite the same. It's a little bit more on the creator of the org to keep their people safe and keep their people happy. And that comes at a high cost. So they kind of depend on their sponsors to make that happen, and make those ends meet. Unfortunately, a lot of them put their money or got their money from a company called FTX, which basically was it turned out to be a big crypto scam without getting too deep into it. A lot of the esports orgs, because crypto is popping and booming and is popular, started getting contracts from other companies like Coinbase, like I think Rocket Money is another one. I could be wrong about that. I think Rocket Money is one of those like turn off my credit card apps or whatever. But yeah, and if you guys haven't seen, the crypto market is in the let's see if we can get a quick trend of the crypto market. I don't know. Let's look at Bitcoin, for example. All right, 23,000 this today. When let's see if we can look at a 1 year trend. Yeah. So so in just a year, crypto, or sorry, specifically Bitcoin, was at just shy of 50K, and now we are not quite there. We basically took a pretty big L, or we entered here for crypto, and that's just because the whole crypto, the effect wore off. People started seeing it's not necessarily bullshit, but it's just not what everyone kind of cracked it up to be. Same with NFTs. The NFT market is in the garbage. If you had like a $2 million NFT before, that bitch is now worth like $200. And that's just the way it goes, all right? Now, taken back to the esports orgs, we have 100 Thieves. Let me see if I have the thing here. 100 Thieves, as well as TSM, have laid off about 20 people each. I actually think 30. Yeah, TSM laid off 30 employees, and 100 Thieves laid off 25. And it's because they don't have the ends to meet. They don't have the way to they don't have the way to pay their players. Now, you don't need to be too concerned if you're a fan of those orgs, because they didn't lay off any of their primary players. In fact, I think 100 Thieves just picked up Doublelift for their league team. So, if you're a fan of Doublelift, checking that shit out. It's pretty cool. But you don't have to worry. They laid off everyone in sales and in marketing, which is, I guess that's all right. No, so here's the deal. When it comes to layoffs and when it comes to firing, hiring, blah, 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 there's a lot of money obviously associated. You have to make sure someone's getting a fair salary or not fair salary. And you have to make sure that, you have the funds to pay them XYZ amount of years, right? So you have to look at how much you're bringing in versus how much you're losing. If you're bringing in not enough to pay them down the road, you just cut that shit. It's like it's like a vestigial limb. This thing is useless to me. I have to get rid of it. So unfortunately in sales, that's usually where sales and marketing, in any big business, that's where usually the lower salaries typically are. Excuse me again. And you would think that I should be cutting off my higher salaries because that's the most expensive thing to me. Usually the higher salaried components to the machine, being a business, usually they're the ones that know how to do the most and carry the most. So cutting the highest salary isn't always the best idea. Usually the CFO or the CEO will take a pay cut if they give a shit about the company, but sounds like that's probably not the case with 100 Thieves and TSM. But that's kind of where you can kind of make ends meet. Cutting sales or the big guys taking pay cuts. And usually big guys don't want to do that. So now, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm going to call that one an int, though, because it's not necessarily their fault, but it's a big one. It's a big one. I will say also, a huge component to esports that makes it differ from regular sports is viewership. When you look at regular sports like football or basketball, baseball, whatever, you have, there's a minimum cost to watch, right? Either you're paying some cable company that has a bunch of contracts with Channel 1, Channel 2, Channel 3, whatever. You're paying for that cable package, which is in turn paying the NFL to have their footage of the game, right? There's a minimum cost to watch typical sports. When it comes to esports, it's a little bit different, right? With esports, all you have to do is click on Twitch and kind of like right now, watch for free, which is fine. That is the plan. That's the point. We want Twitch and we want these live streams to be free so that it brings in more people and hopefully encourages subscriptions or donos or whatever. But that's kind of how esports is built off of. That's what it's built off of. It's not a standard sport where there's a minimum cost. So there's not an immediate revenue stream from Cox Communication or Spectrum or whoever has your whoever you pay your cable to. Netflix, YouTube TV if you want to watch live sports. You don't have that minimum cost. So esports is already operating off of a basically free viewer base, which is great, but that is another reason why it's always, always, always difficult for esports to be as big as, say, the Super Bowl. Like, install ad block, please. I ain't gonna do it. You have to kill. You can shoot me, but you can't kill me. Now, when you print money, obviously you all know if you took any kind of high school economics class, that causes your dollar to inflate. Now, inflation is normal. It happens sometimes just naturally. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing because it makes your dollar worth less compared to others, but it's not necessarily a bad thing issue. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Japan's yen is about, let's see if I can flip this around real quick. Japan's 1 yen is 0.007. It's 1 yen is worth less than, it's a seventh of a penny in US money. So you're probably wondering, okay, Josh, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? And it kind of doesn't necessarily have anything to do with anything, unless you're a gigantic weeb like myself. Unless you like buying cheap plastic shit off the internet like I do. Magic Conch. Am I gonna become a millionaire? No. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, if you like buying weeb shit, I'm talking all kinds of figures, I'm talking all the katanas you could ever need, I'm talking all the wall scrolls and shit that you don't need. Now, actually October back in 2022 was the optimal time because you will see their dollar hit about the value of 150 yen is equal to $1 US. Your money is worth more in Japan. That's huge. Japan having inflated their dollar, they did this because after the pandemic, Japan fully expected there to be a major influx of not only e-commerce, but also tourism. Japan is a major, major, major combatant in the global economics when it comes to e-commerce. America, London, and China obviously being the other three big components. Japan is also a huge one with e-commerce. Think of all the weeb shit you bought last year. But Japan was fully expecting themselves to make a lot more money at the end of COVID. But if a lot of you recall, anyone who tried to travel to Japan, you probably realized that, hey, I can't get in. They're not letting me in. Japan had a very segmented and slow re-entry of tourism into their country to try and save lives. You gotta keep in mind, Japan's average age, I think, is like, what, 40 or something? Japan average age. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, that's not good. So their people are, oops, where's my shit? Their people are very old, on average old, and they have to be careful about letting in people who could possibly have viruses, right? So their re-entry of tourism money from tourism was very slowed. So as they printed a bunch to try and to try to protect themselves during the COVID rush, they thought they'd be making more on the back end, and they did not. So that's why in October, when everyone is like, "Oh my God, I'm going to go back to Japan," they kind of hit a worst. They hit their worst level of inflation for their dollar possible. So how can we help Japan? That's a great question, guys. How can we help Japan bring their dollar back down? It looks like we actually already are. Funny thing is, we're already helping. Here's how we can help. We can just start buying more shit at a pretty good price. If you guys are not big fans of paying that excess money for, say, a figure that you know is cheaper here or cheaper there, now is the time to start doing that research and start buying. Your dollar is still worth quite a lot in Japan's shores. You can still make you can still generate your own good deal just simply off of macroeconomics. So, I encourage you now, weebs of chat, buy your katanas, buy your figures, while your dollar is still worth about 120. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for minting and inting. I hope you guys liked the little transition I made. I'm gonna do more like that. I'm gonna do more. So let me see if I can do my net back. You guys like that shit right there? Look at that. Yeah. All right. That's it for minting and inting. I am now going to shift over to something else kind of money related. GoldenEye. I was gonna watch Shark Tank, but I feel like I don't think a lot of you give a shit about Shark Tank. I'm gonna keep it $1.50 with you.